This is a beautiful, innocent face that once every boy around her and in her school used to be crazy about. But this innocence, this beauty of hers, sometimes opens the door to hell for her. This poor girl doesn't even realize it. And when you will come to know about the atrocity that happened to her by one of her one-sided lovers, along with his other friends, wrapped for a full 40 days. The incident that happened with her is so horrifying that words fall short to express her pain, because after committing atrocity with her, along with Junko Furuta, her one-sided lover puts her in a big drum and then pours a mixture of cement concrete over it and solidifies it. The reality is that this painful story begins from the year 1988, when a girl named Junko Furuta was still studying in school. She was very sharp in studies, very intelligent, and along with that, she was very beautiful too. And because of this beauty, all the boys there were crazy about her, and that's why many boys had proposed to Junko Furuta. But Junko Furuta's entire focus was on her career, and that's why she had not said yes to anyone. She used to refuse everyone, and among those boys, there was a boy named Hiroshi, who did not like this attitude of hers, that a girl refuses him. There are some boys who cannot accept the no of girls. They feel that their ego has been hurt. So it seems that something similar happened here too. Hiroshi was not an ordinary minor boy, but he had many crime charges on him. But because he was a minor, the police used to let him go. But the bigger thing is that Miyano was a member of the Yakuza gang, which at that time was considered a very cruel gang. And that's why Miyano Hiroshi had the courage to do everything until he was a minor, about which we and you don't even imagine doing, let alone doing it. So, on November 25th, 1988, it was almost evening time when Junko Furuta was returning home. Then a motorist lightly hits her and makes her fall down and then starts bothering her. In the meantime, Miyano Hiroshi makes an entry like a hero, and as soon as he sees him, the motorist runs away from there because all this was pre-planned. Because when Miyano saw Junko Furuta passing by, he told his newbie friend to go on his bike and lightly hit her and bother her so that I can make an entry like a hero, and something similar happened. Seeing all this, a little trust was built inside her, meaning towards Miyano. And after that, Miyano offered to drop Junko Furuta home, and said that I will drop you home. It may be that he bothers you again on the way. The happiness we shared was brief, friends. Before we proceed with the video, I have a small request for you. Behind the channel, there's a dedicated team of 3 individuals working tirelessly to bring you top quality content through diligent research. Currently, our team relies solely on the YouTube Partner Program. However, due to 1,000 subscribe and 4,000 hours don't complete channel, we're not receiving financial support from YouTube. This makes it difficult for us to cover video production expenses, and without support, we won't be able to continue our work for long. If you appreciate our efforts, please consider supporting us by cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, USDT, Ethereum, etc., visiting the link provided in the description box. Even a small contribution will motivate us to keep working effectively on the channel. Thank you. Now, let's continue with the story. Miyano was Junko Furuta's classmate, and what he had done here had built even more trust in him. That's why Junko Furuta, without thinking, goes with him, and from here, the whole game begins. Miyano first takes Junko Furuta to an empty warehouse. After taking her there, he first tells his truth that whatever happened just now, the biker who hit her was my friend. This is all pre-planned, and both of us are members of a Yakuza gang, and if you made a noise here and did not listen to me, I will kill you right here. And after hearing all these things, poor Junko Furuta gets very scared because it was already quite late at night, and along with that, there was no one far and wide because it was an empty warehouse. Now the poor girl had become helpless, and taking advantage of this fear, Miyano commits an rapt atrocity with her. The poor girl remained helpless and could not do anything. But the story does not end here, guys. This story starts from here. After that, Miyano takes Junko Furuta to a hotel by a taxi. After taking her to the hotel, he first repeats the same atrocity there, and when his mind gets a little satisfied, he first calls Nobuhara, his friend who had hit her, and tells him all the things that he had just done. He tells it as if he had done some act of bravery, and after hearing all these things, Nobuhara and 2 other boys present with him, Agura and Yasushi, say that don't leave her now. We are also coming. And here Miyano cleverly takes out her home address from Junko Furuta's notebook and starts threatening her that if you did not listen to me or tried to run away from here, I know your home address, our gang leader, our gang members will kill your family members. And after hearing all these things, Junko Furuta becomes even more helpless. She couldn't even try to run away even if she wanted to. That's why when all four of them come, they take her to their home, that is, to Nobuharu's house. Actually, Nobuharu's parents used to stay at home very less. They used to stay outside most of the time due to work. Sometimes they used to come and go home, and by the time the matter reached here, it was almost morning of November 26th, and that's why on the other side, Junko Furuta's parents started getting very worried that why she has not come home yet, and that's why a full investigation started. Inquiries were made everywhere, but her whereabouts could not be found from anywhere. And in this way, the day and night of November 26th passed. Now, when it is morning of November 27th, without any delay, her parents get a report of Junko Furuta's disappearance written in the police station, and as soon as this news comes to Miyano and his other three friends, they scare Junko Furuta and make her call home and say that I had come to my friend's house. I forgot to tell, I am absolutely fine, safe and sound. As soon as possible, you should withdraw the missing report from the police station. After hearing these things, her parents were also relieved that yes, my daughter is absolutely safe wherever she is, and they immediately withdraw the report. And here Miyano and his other three friends together start doing whatever comes to their mind with Junko Furuta. I mean, you can't even think of what they start doing. And Nobuharu's house no longer remains a house, but rather becomes a den of debauchery because now even the members of his gang start coming and going there. Everyone comes and commits atrocity with her, and this sequence continues like this. But when Nobuharu's parents come home, she is already scared and told that when our parents will come, you have to treat me like my girlfriend. You have to show that you are my girlfriend. Treat like a girlfriend. Now the poor girl was scared, so she kept doing as she was told. Now it's not that Nobuharu's parents didn't know about this, or they were unaware of this. Despite knowing, her parents couldn't do anything because they were scared. They were scared from inside because they knew that these are members of which gang, and if they do something like this, then maybe their son could also be violent towards her. And because of this fear, they think it is necessary to remain silent, and that's why slowly now the girlfriend-boyfriend drama had also ended, because now they had already realized that their parents were now silent, and therefore everything was starting to become open. Within those 7 days, Junko had been involved with him in almost 100 unnatural ways, along with Furuta. Not only was he not given proper food and drink, but instead he was forcefully made to consume a lot of alcohol. He was kept without clothes so that whatever came to his mind, he could do with him. Cigarettes were forcibly lit and thrust into his mouth, and he was coerced to drink. When he couldn't drink, he was severely beaten. In the increasing cold of December, he was asked to sleep on the balcony, and he was even forced to sleep there. However, during those days, Junko Fruit's patience ran out, and he smartly called the police. The call went through, and the police answered. But here we can say that it was either his misfortune or what was meant to happen. Miyano arrives there and quickly disconnects the call. After that, the police call back, and Miyano answers, saying, "I'm sorry, it was a mistake," and disconnects the call. Following this, Miyano's anger flares up, and in anger he applies mustard oil to Junko Fruit's feet and slowly burns him in installments. Now, moving forward, the police officers are a bit suspicious about what might be going wrong in that house. But unfortunately, on that day, Nobuharu's parents were present at home. They come forward and say that nothing like that is happening here, and there is no girl present. Even though everything was happening right in front of their eyes, they still sent the police away without searching. Due to this unfortunate turn of events, Miyano gets defeated, and the story takes a different turn. But it didn't happen that way. As the days passed, poor Junko Fruit continued to endure torture. Many boys came and went, all in unnatural ways, creating a relationship with him. They would leave her in the same condition, and once, it even happened that Junko Furuta's hands were tied up and she was hung naked. Her body was then used like a punching bag and was hit with many punches, leaving her condition so serious that she was forced to breathe through her mouth. When the four of them got tired of all this, they would start smoking to relieve their fatigue. When the cigarette was almost finished, they would extinguish the burning end by rubbing it against her body. Not only that, they would light a candle and pour hot wax on her body and face. She was also forced to drink her own urine and was sometimes served cockroaches to eat. When she refused, their brutality would escalate, and they would insert unimaginable things into her private parts, such as iron rods, plastic items, and even a burning hot light bulb. But even after all this, those four monsters didn't show any mercy or let her go. This torture continued for 40 days, causing such severe damage to her private parts and internal organs that she could no longer control her urine, and her digestive system was completely destroyed. Whenever she ate or drank something, she would vomit, and they would beat her even more for this. After enduring so much beating and prolonged torture, there was no part of Junko Furuta's body left without wounds, which had now turned into festering sores. A foul odor began to emanate from her, and because of this, the interest of the four boys in her began to wane. But the monstrous tendencies inside them needed another outlet, so on December 27, 1988, they kidnapped a 19-year-old girl walking on the street, took her to a hotel, and raped her as well. However, they let her go, and another week passed this way. The new year started. It was now 1989. On January 4th, Miyano lost a lot of money in a game, which made him extremely furious. To vent his anger, he went back to Junko Furuta and repeated the same tortures on her. Unfortunately, this time, poor Junko Furuta could not endure it and passed away during the night. The four then decided to dispose of her body. Initially, they thought of throwing it into the sea. They wrapped her in a blanket, placed her in a drum, and filled the drum with a cement and concrete mixture to encase her. They planned to take it to the sea, but they found an isolated spot on the way and abandoned the drum there. Now you might be wondering how these four boys were eventually caught. They were arrested due to the girl they had abducted after losing interest in Junko Furuta. On December 27, 1988, they had kidnapped a 19-year-old girl, did those horrible things to her, and then let her go. Miyano and Joe Ogura were arrested on charges related to that incident, and during the investigation they were also questioned about their involvement in several minor crimes. So the investigation continued for about 2 more months. Once, during a search of his house, some women's undergarments were found, which made the police highly suspicious. Therefore, they arrested both Miyano and Ogura, questioning them separately. The police used a bit of strategy and directly told Miyano, "I know you committed a murder." Hearing this, Miyano panicked, thinking that perhaps Ogura had already confessed everything. Realizing there was no point in hiding the truth anymore, he decided to confess as well. He revealed everything and led the police to the place where they had disposed of the drum. The police were shocked upon seeing the drum. When they cut it open, they discovered it contained the body of a girl who was now unrecognizable. However, they identified her through fingerprints and realized it was Junko Furuta, not the girl they were originally searching for. The shocking part was that when the perpetrators were brought to court, they pleaded for leniency due to being minors. Initially, they were sentenced to 15-17 years, but after significant pressure, the sentences were extended to 20 years. All those involved were imprisoned, but it was stated that due to their minor status, a harsher punishment could not be imposed. An important point is that the court also prohibited revealing their names since they were minors. However, one journalist showed courage and published their names on the front page, stating that given the brutality they exhibited, they no longer deserved any human rights that would protect their identities. The truth is, guys, that all these monsters have probably served their sentences and are now roaming freely in the world. In my opinion, whether they are minors or adults, such people do not deserve the right to live. What do you think about this? Please share your important views in the comments. Goodbye, see you next time with Horrible Crime Story.